Republican leadership takes axe to UFO transparency legislation. That is the title of the article we're going to be taking a look at. It's from Liberation Times, written by Christopher Sharp. That's someone who regularly covers the UFO topic. Okay. I do have something quite interesting from Christopher Sharp, considering about the Liberation Times. That's quite telling from a tweet. I just thought it was interesting, so I'm going to include it in this article. Not saying anything bad. It's odd. Let's just so you know what I'm talking about. All right, look, this is the article we're going to be taking a look at. Okay, and it is important. It is a great article. And Vivek Ramaswamy, okay, he's a Republican presidential nominee. He tweeted this article out as well, asking why. Like, why is the Republican leadership pushing back against UAP transparency? Now, yesterday in our David Grush video, we covered that David Grush spoke about some of these people and saying that they're compromised, right? They get funding from aerospace companies, right? And so now they're pushing back against this because in the UAP legislation, right, that they're trying to get passed for next year, it does have parts about eminent domain, the government being able to go in and take from private aerospace companies, and people are saying that's part of the pushback. So that would make sense that if these government officials are backed by aerospace companies, right, that they're going to be kind of pressuring them, hey, get rid of this legislation that allows the government to come after things that we own, right? So in a weird way, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But maybe there's other reasons. Maybe there's other reasons why the Republican Party is pushing back on this. Now, they shouldn't say the Republican Party, right? It is. I like that they distinguish Republican leadership because that is true, right? The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who originally was supposed to be down for this, right? That's what was told when he became the new Speaker of the House after Kevin McCarthy was ousted, right? Because you still have a lot of Republican figures, Representative Luna, Tim Burchett, other people as well, who want to see this, right? So it is the leadership, which is important. If you can't get them behind it, it's going to be very tough to get this passed. So what could we do as people to help get this passed? And yeah, I mean, that's basically it, right? Now, people are saying on Twitter, like, well, write them. Here's their, here's the number, call them, email them, write them. Think about that. If they're compromised, none of those calls, letters, whatever, are going to matter, right? So I'm not sure if that's the best strategy. I don't know what the best strategy is, right? Maybe some sort of pressure from us. I think the UAP topic just needs to become hate to say this, but like a voting issue, right? Just needs to become a voting issue, like education, the economy, right? Social issues. Well, UAP as well. UAP transparency and disclosure. That needs to become a voting issue. That's how we get the leadership behind it, right? Calling, emailing. I mean, yes, it does something, but the key is to get them to see it's a voting issue. The people will vote for that. So anyway, let's take a look at this tweet before we get into this article from Liberation Times, okay, from Christopher Sharp. So hang on a second. I got to move this a little bit so you can read it. Okay, look, right there. No, that's not it. Hang on, y'all. I had it pulled up. Twitter just resets, man. I don't understand Twitter at all. So right there, y'all. November 20th. Liberation Times was never meant to be a fair and balanced publication. It has always treated this story as a cover-up, has always sided with the whistleblowers, and that will continue as we begin the rewrite. So I'll be honest, when I first saw that, I don't know what to think about that tweet, right? Because my first instinct is to not trust anything that comes from Liberation Times. Okay? I mean, that's just my first instinct. How can you not want a fair and balanced publication? That's the whole point. You're trying to get to the truth, not have, right, a predetermined outcome that you want to see happen. It has always treated this story as a cover-up, has always sided with the whistleblowers. Okay. But that doesn't mean you should do that at all cost. What if it's a lie? We don't know yet. Yeah, I know we assume, right? A lot. And we have a lot of people coming out, reputable people coming out. I get that. But I don't like that from a reporter standpoint. Please help me in the comments. Am I misunderstanding this? Am I reading this wrong? Why say that? That's like the last thing you want a publication to say. We were never meant to be a fair and balanced publication, so you were meant to be an unfair and unbalanced publication? I mean, think about that. That just doesn't make any sense. And I like this guy, Christopher Sharp. I've seen him, other tweets, other stuff. I mean, this article where we're going to jump into. Okay, it's great, but man, this scares me. So let me know what y'all think. And look how it has 569 likes. Am I seeing this wrong? Even if you believed that it's a cover-up and you want to help whistleblowers, you still should maintain a fair and balanced publication. Why would you say it's never meant to be a fair and balanced publication? I mean, I just don't get that. That's a huge red flag for me. That just means you could be, in my opinion, easily fed information, and then you'll run with it, right? You're perfectly set up for someone within the government to use you as an asset, and you wouldn't even know. Because again, you're not looking for fair and balanced. You're just looking to help the story you've set up. See how did y'all see that on Twitter? It just resets on its own. Anyway, I'm just saying, let me know what y'all think. I'll put a link to that tweet. Y'all can check it out. Again, I get I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at this article, y'all. All right, Liberation Times, Black Friday, Republican leadership takes axe to UFO transparency legislation. Written by Christopher Sharp, 24 November 2023. He's in the UK. Our team is also in the UK, so shout out UK. Center that a little bit. All right, here we go. Multiple sources have told Liberation Times that the Schumer Round's Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act is under severe threat from Republican leaders within the U.S. House and Senate. Liberation Times has learned that this week, two influential Republicans, namely Representative Mike Rogers, chair of the House Armed Services Committee, and Representative Mike Turner, chair of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, have escalated their efforts to eliminate the UAP Disclosure Act from the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA, for fiscal year 2024. Again, if you watch our video from yesterday, I'll put a link to it. I show their pictures. I give you their website information so you can contact them, find out who they are. Put a clip of David Grush talking about them, right? We've got the three Mike problem, basically, right? Mike Rogers, Mike Turner, Mike Johnson, right? That's what's going on. So anyway, the two representatives have successfully garnered support from Senate Minority Leader Senator Mitch McConnell and the new Speaker of the House, Representative Mike Johnson, who are now backing their endeavors to either remove or significantly weaken the UAP Disclosure Act. Now, mind you, they're only asking for a couple $1 million in budget. That's what David Grush said. So again, my point from yesterday as well still stands. What does it matter? Let's get this through. It's a couple $1 million. We can't fit that into the budget. I mean, it's crazy, right? How many military personnel and leaders are saying there's a problem? They're in our training grounds, right? I mean, anyway. The news came during the Thanksgiving holiday when representatives and senators were at home with their families. It comes 2 years after the Department of Defense and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence thwarted extensive UAP language proposed by Senators Kristen Gillibrand and Marco Rubio. It is understood that the four powerful Republicans are prepared to compromise by amending language contained in the act, although that would involve stripping it of its key provisions and crippling the act of any meaningful power. One source familiar with the current NDAA conference process, which reconciles differences between House and Senate versions through negotiation, told Liberation Times, "It's a shame that such monumental legislation is the victim of political brinkmanship. Neither of the detractors gives a hoot about serving the public interest and instead wants to use this amendment as leverage to get their own political interest codified. When supposed leaders like this use the American people's interests as their fodder, we should be reminded of what sparked the American Revolution in the first place. These individuals would be wise to remember that. Okay. Sounds like January 6th stuff here, right? Like, I wonder who that is. One source. It kind of sounds like Tim Burchett. Let's be real. Give a hoot, right? That's a Southern term. Anyway, could be, I guess, a few people. But so basically they're getting together, looking at this amendment, trying to make revisions, right? Because it has to be approved by the House and the Senate to be introduced into the NDAA. And then the president signs off on it. Now, typically that's just a, procedure, right? Routine. But yeah, that's what's happening. And now they're either going to just deny it altogether or gut the amendment of everything that would make it worthwhile even having, right? So either two scenarios don't sound good right now. Let's keep going. Sources suggest that despite the current challenges, allies within the Senate, House, and White House are gearing up to resist Republicans. It's worth noting that despite opposition from Republican leadership, numerous figures within the party, such as Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chair Senator Marco Rubio, Representatives Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett, and House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party Chairman Representative Mike Gallagher, are likely to counter any attempts to exclude or soften the UAP language. Okay. Additionally, Liberation Times sources indicate that President Joe Biden's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, and Senior Presidential Advisor on Clean Energy Innovation, John Podesta, could lead White House efforts to resist Republican leadership's attempts against the UAP Disclosure Act. So we got some allies out there, all right, trying to fight this. The news indicates that 3 out of the 4 Republican members of the Gang of 8, a group privy to classified intelligence briefings from the executive branch, oppose additional oversight and public transparency regarding the UAP issue. Liberation Times currently understands that separate UAP language drafted for the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 by the Senate's Intelligence Committee remains intact. Noteworthy elements of that language include the suspension of U.S. government funding for illicit UAP programs and the provision of legal amnesty to defense contractors suspected of possessing non-human craft or materials. So that's good. All right, that is good. That is what some people, they're saying they're worried that some of these people at these companies, right, we don't want this to come out. We're going to get in trouble. We did things to cover this up, and now we're going to get in trouble. So they need to be offered amnesty to feel free to come out, right? Immunity. I get it. What do we want? That may be part of the price of disclosure, y'all. What do y'all think? Tell me in the comments. There is growing concern. The alleged stance of Republican leaders towards the UAP Disclosure Act comes amidst allegations of cover-ups and potentially illegal activities related to retrieval and reverse engineering programs linked to craft of non-human origin, raising concerns about the participation of defense contractors and elements within the U.S. government. Here, I'll do this. I'll highlight as I read. There is growing concern among insiders that suppressing UAP-related communication could potentially give an edge to adversaries possessing comparable information and evidence regarding the purported existence of non-human intelligence on Earth. Another source with knowledge of the current situation regarding the NDAA negotiations told Liberation Times, "We've got a problem. Russia or China may beat the United States to disclosing the facts around a non-human intelligence if we don't get our act together fast. This should be motivation enough for Republican leadership to fight for the UAP Disclosure Act. They should be doing everything in their power to get it passed expeditiously. I'm baffled." So that is a problem, right? I talked about it yesterday in the video. The race, just like the race to the moon, right? The race to the atomic bomb. There's a lot of in America's history where we want to be first. We want to be number one. So this may be a way to angle that, we angle the topic in that way that we need to be the first ones to disclose. We can't let Russia and China beat us to disclosure. Come on, America's got to be number one. Hey, that might be an angle to take. And to be honest, true, right? Again, other countries are out there doing things. So, yeah. What could that cost us? What are the negative side effects if we don't disclose first, right? That's what should be discussed as well. What are the negative ramifications of that? Back to the article. Unveiled publicly in July 2023 by Senate Majority Leader and Democrat Chuck Schumer, the UAP Disclosure Act proposes the creation of a review board dedicated to disclosing information and materials related to UAP. All right, so that's why you hear it called the Schumer Amendment and things like that. This is what they're referring to. The review board would be composed of 9 U.S. citizens nominated by President Biden and would have the authority to assess and advise on the release of UAP information and records. Additionally, any potential biological evidence indicating non-human intelligence and the craft they operate would be disclosed to the public. So basically, right, they want to propose this legislation that would create a 9-person review board that would basically tell the public, okay, disclose to the world, essentially, the American people, right? Here's an alien body and here's a craft. Finally tell us and how to tell us. That's the key. Not just telling us, but how to tell us. That's the key of this review board, right? And maybe certain things they can't tell us, but at least we'll find out, look, we're not alone and we've been visited. This is what we know. This is what we can tell you. That's all the American people want. Then the conversation can start to take different paths from there. But that's it. So does this, legislation scare people? Why should it if there's nothing to hide? If it's all crazy, give them a couple $1,000,000, let them do it. And if it's nothing to hide, what's the problem? Some crazy going on. Under the plan, any materials or biological evidence of unknown origin or non-human origin would be subject, to the power of eminent domain exercised by the U.S. federal government, meaning Lockheed Martin or any other aerospace company that might be in possession would be required to surrender them to the government. Remember, David Grush has already called out Lockheed Martin in his Joe Rogan interview saying they got stuff. He called them out. Right? Because the deal is that Harry Reid tried to get a craft or a piece of craft from Lockheed Martin to study. And that's what OSAP was for. Okay, the program OSAP, that's what that was for initially, to get that and study it. And that's what the money was going to be used for. Okay, so Lockheed Martin's already being called out. And remember, even within the aerospace companies, they have their own compartmentalization and even own secrecy, right? You have people fighting within Lockheed Martin. Yes, disclose. No, disclose. Yeah, we got to give it to them. No, we don't. What are y'all talking about? People don't even know, right? So not everyone at Lockheed Martin knows what's going on. And the people that do are fighting amongst each other. That's what's happening. Behind the scenes, people are fighting about, yeah, let's let it out. No, let's not let it out. That's the big fight. The fight isn't anymore, is this real? The fight is, how do we tell them and do we tell them, right? Liberation Times has learned of widespread concerns surrounding eminent domain language, posing a risk of aerospace companies losing invaluable materials. It is understood that an alternative mechanism is being proposed to replace this language, allowing the release of materials without necessitating companies to relinquish custody. So maybe we borrow it from the companies. We don't necessarily take it and own it. Yeah, I'm fine with that, me personally. The Senate is set to end its recess on Monday, November 27th, followed by the House returning a day later. So Tuesday the 28th. This time frame provides UAP advocates with increased opportunities to shape NDAA negotiations before the legislation is ultimately finalized. Guys, because we are in the 11th hour here, right? This needs to be signed before the end of the year. It typically happens just after Christmas, right? Right before the new year, somewhere around there, last week of December. they don't have much time to get this. After that, President Biden will have the authority to either sign it into law or exercise his veto power. It's worth noting, though, that the NDAA has a track record of successful passage for over 60 consecutive years. Because, yeah, by the time it's got there, all the negotiations have taken place, and it's like, Mr. President, just sign this, right? So anyway, whatever they decide is more than likely going to get signed by the president. So we'll know ahead of time what's gonna get signed. So let's see what happens, y'all. I don't know. I'm definitely curious, right? And again, not to harp on that first tweet that I shared of Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times. I just don't think, am I reading too much into that? I just don't think that's a good idea to announce that your news publication is not trying to be fair and balanced. I mean, that's a huge red flag for me. So, but look how well this article's written, right? Good article, well written, tells you what's going on, tells you what's happening. So I don't know. Does that mean I need to take it with a grain of salt? I don't know, y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Curious. So remember, guys, thank you guys for watching. I'll put links to this so you can check it out for yourself, all right? Remember, every day's a gift. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you on the next video. I'm Patrick with Vetted. Peace.